I'll call the roll because Terry, you must be muted. Mrs. Naylor?
Here.
Mr. Murphy?
Here.
And I am here, Chris Collins, chairing the meeting. Okay, the meeting has one item on the agenda, and that item is to vote to recommend to the full school committee that approve amended FY21 budget calendar. Do you both have that item, have that calendar in front of you?
No, I don't. I'm actually looking. I have the agenda, but I don't see the, if I can find it. Oh, I found it.
I've looked at it, Chris. I don't have it in front of me at the moment.
It is over on that document section over in your chat function, if you see it there.
Okay.
But as long as you've looked at it,
could you maybe just kind of give me a quick synopsis of what it is, of what the dates are?
Sure. What we really didn't change dates. The dates remained the same. What we did is we changed the locations of the meeting. The meeting on 4/16 said that it was going to take place at 5:30 at the central office boardroom. The amended version would say Focus Springfield Channel 17 and Zoom. And we'll put the Zoom number on our website, of course. The meeting for the 27th said central office said that the completed budget would be available in central office and several libraries. That is being strucken and put in that it'll be available on the Springfield Public Schools website, www.springfieldpublicschools.com. The other change was that on 4/29, again, location was 5:30 at the Central High School Library. That is stricken, and inserted is Focus Springfield Channel 17 and Zoom. And that will be a meeting where the public will be allowed to speak to the committee, but it will be taking place during Zoom. We are working on those logistics to make sure we get that done correctly.
Okay, that sounds great. Are those meetings at 5 o'clock?
The 5:30 p.m., the 16th is 5:30, the 29th is 5:30, the 7th, which was at Putnam, it's the meeting to vote on the budget itself, still 5:30, but location changed to Focus Springfield Channel 17 and Zoom.
Is that May 7th, Chris? I'm sorry.
That's May 7th, that's correct.
Oh, thank you.
And that's for budget and finance. The full committee is May 7th at 6, a half an hour later. Again, Focus Springfield and Channel 17 and Zoom. So those are the changes to the calendar. We're actually changing, not changing times, just changing locations so that the public will be able to view our meetings, and they'll remain open meetings according to the new guidelines for the open meeting law.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds good.
Are there any questions about that?
None.
If none,
No, I don't have.
Is there a motion to vote that recommendation to the full school committee?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Unanimous vote. That being the only item on the agenda, is a motion to adjourn is what's in order at this. Oh, no, wait a minute. We have an informational discussion item. Pat, I believe, wanted to update. Are you still here, Pat? Yeah, you are. Did you have some things you wanted to update the committee on?
On the budget, I'd be happy to. So, obviously things are a little in chaos a little bit with everything that's going on with the economy. However, we're going to move forward with the governor's budget. We balanced the budget based on what the governor put out. We worked with the schools, and that's what we're going to be presenting to the committee. So we're just going to move forward, follow the calendar that you just voted on, and we'll have the balanced budget on that calendar going with the governor's numbers.
And if you recall, all of you, we did have a note on the bottom of that. That didn't change, so I didn't read it. But just for the public, that all of the student opportunity funds are being utilized the way additional funds were in the past and being directly sent to the individual schools for the method in which those funds will be used. And they will take all of the appropriate input from all of their constituencies before they make a decision on their local budgets. But those monies are going to be passed directly on to the schools. Mr. Superintendent, did you want to add anything?
Long chats with Pat about the budget, and I think it makes the most sense moving ahead with the governor's budget like we have in the past. And then if some changes occur, we can always amend it later. So I think this is a prudent course of action.
Anything else that we need to update the committee on?
Could I ask one question, Chris?
Sure.
So, I'm sure that's the right course of action to follow the governor's budget at this point, but it's probably likely, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that at some point, because the tax revenues are not going to be meeting projections during the course of the fiscal year, that there potentially could be cuts, mid-year cuts like we had back in the, in the days that preceded the control board. And should we be doing something to prepare for potential mid-year or, who knows, but mid-year cuts? I guess that question is to Pat.
It's a great question. We are prepared that if the governor's budget doesn't come out as planned in next year's budget, we have that contingency. I think the first item is the state probably just wouldn't fund the extra money in SOA funds. And so we have a contingency plan on that. And then if it cut below that, up to swing of a few $1 million, we have a contingency plan with that. Anything more significant, we'd actually have to talk about, service levels on our end, but I don't think we're looking at that at this point.
All right, well, that'd be great. I mean, it looks kind of ugly, though. I mean, it seems to me, but I hope it's not. And certainly education, it seems like, is going to be the priority for the governor. So, but
just for the public,
it's always tough, as you guys know. I'm sorry, it's always tough to make mid-year, budget cuts. As you guys know, because we don't have the money. If we have reserves, that's great. But if we don't, the cuts are really draconian because we only have half the year to make them up, or theoretically half the year, or whenever, if the cuts came down theoretically, let's say in December or something.
So just before we continue with that discussion. Just for the public, when Mr. Roach referred to SOAs, he was talking about the student opportunity funds, that his current thinking is that may be where the state makes adjustments. I think we'll have a pretty good idea in June, because if the state starts to talk about passing a 1/12 budget or a 2/12 budget rather than a full budget, we'll be getting a warning at that point in time. And we'll probably have to get together and discuss about whether we follow a similar pattern with our schools, whether we do a 1/12 or 2/12 budget, or 1/10 or 2/10 budget for them, and limit their spendings just in case. But I think we'll get an idea of that in June when we see what the state starts to do with its budgeting practice.
The state's
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you, Pat and Chris, for that answer.
The state has put a pretty good rainy day fund together, so they have some significant reserves. So we're hoping that they would use those rather than cut education. But we can amend the budget. We've already made plans on how we could do that if we have to.
Okay, all right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Good question.
Any other questions? Then a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Brendan. If you can cut the feed.